The psychological disorder that I'll describe is the bipolar disorder, which was formerly called manic depressive disorder. The bipolar disorder is a mood disorder in which a person alternates between the hopelessness and lethargy of depression and the overexcited state of mania. The state of mania is a state of abnormally elevated arousal, affect, and energy level. In many ways, it could be considered as the opposite of depression. People who suffer of bipolar disorder experience the so-called mood episodes, which are periods of unusually intense emotion and unusual behaviors. These moods and behaviors are drastically different from the usual ones of that person. At the same time, with these mood episodes, extreme changes in energy, activity, and sleep occur, giving to the sick person's family and friends many alarm bells for discovering the illness. In particular, when manic episodes happen, the person could feel very high or elated, have a lot of energy, having trouble sleeping, talk really fast about a lot of different things, and do risky and reckless things. On the other hand, if the person is experiencing a depressive episode, he could feel very sad, down, empty, or hopeless, have very little energy, sleep too much or too little, have trouble concentrating, forget things a lot, eat too much or too little, and thinking about suicide and death. Sometimes the mood episodes can be mixed. In other words, they could present characteristics of both a depressive episode and a manic one. For example, the individuals could feel sad and empty and they could think about suicide, but at the same time they could be highly energetic. Even when these mood swings are not very evident, it doesn't mean that someone doesn't suffer from bipolar disorder. For example, people who have weaker manic episodes, that are called hypomanic episodes, could think that they are acting normally, even if all people around them will notice that they are acting weird. Hypomanic episodes could also lead to serious depression, so they shouldn't be underestimated. Among the risk factors that may predict bipolar disorder, we can find peculiar structures and functioning of a sick person's brain. These structures are still being studied because they could lead to the creation of better drugs for the treatment of this illness. The bipolar disorder have also many genetic components. It was found that it tends to run in families. In particular, people who have siblings or parents who have bipolar disorder are much more likely to have this disorder in the future. Some scientists also found a high correlation with some genes present in the sick people, and they believe they could be linked to the occurrence of this illness. The bipolar disorder could also be triggered by a very stressful event that happened in one's life. People who are more logical and precise, who usually work as architects and designers, suffer from this disorder less often than people who use more their emotional part and are more creative. In particular, bipolar disorder has been found very often in artists, filmmakers, writers, and composers. Men and women are hit almost equally by this disorder, without any racial difference, except for Asians and Latinos that are slightly more prone to this illness. There are no ways in which this condition can be prevented, because its symptoms appear as soon as the illness begins, without any previous sign. The only thing that someone could do in order to catch this disorder in time is to continuously monitor other people's habits, especially if they are related to someone who previously suffered the illness and are in the late teens, because it is the age in which usually the first symptoms of the disorder take place. If someone shows abnormal sleep patterns and energy, rapid talking, racing thoughts, incredible recklessness, and distraction, other than symptoms of depression, make sure to make the interested person to go to a doctor. As well as many other mental disorders that we know, bipolar disorder is believed to be caused by variation in the quantity of neurotransmitters in our brain. In particular, noradrenaline and serotonin are linked both to depression and bipolar disorder. In severe cases of bipolar disorder, hallucination, which are caused by a malfunctioning of the circuits of the brain that communicate thanks to dopamine, can occur. The main neurotransmitter involved in the bipolar disorder, anyway, is the serotonin, that controls the sleep patterns and impulsivity of the human body. Let's talk a little about statistics. 60% of individuals affected by bipolar disorder are addicted to drugs and alcohol. This is like that because the individuals use those substances as self-medication to alleviate the pain. It is estimated that 2 to 7% of the people in the United States suffer from bipolar disorder. almost 10 million people will develop the illness sometimes during their lives. Despite the stereotypes, men and women are affected in equal numbers. However, research does show some differences in how the disorder develops. Women are 3 times more likely than men to experience rapid cycling. Women may have more depressive episodes and more mixed episodes than men. Up to 1 in 5 bipolar people completes suicide. Success rates for bipolar disorder treatment with lithium vary from highs to 70 to 85% to lows of 40 to 50%. There are many myths linked to this disorder. For example, that it's impossible to help someone with this illness. Bipolar disorder, anyway, can be effectively treated and managed. More than 40% of bipolar patients can expect full and complete recovery, while another 50% can expect a very marked reduction in their symptoms. Another myth is that bipolar disorder is caused by a personal weakness or a character flaw. But bipolar disorder is a medical condition, just like diabetes or any other health condition. People with bipolar disorder cannot just pull themselves together and get better. Treatment is necessary. The third myth that I want to expose is that if you have bipolar disorder, you are crazy all the time. It's not true. In fact, bipolar disorder is characterized by episodes of highs and lows. In most people, these episodes are separated by periods of stability. People may go for months, sometimes even years, without an episode. The last myth that I want to explain is that alcoholism and drug abuse can cause bipolar disorder. As I said before, in fact, it's true that there is a correlation between alcohol abuse and bipolar disorder, but people with bipolar disorder may use alcohol and street drugs to make themselves feel better, or as an escape from their problems. It's not a cause of the illness. On the internet, some organizations that help people dealing with their problems about bipolar disorder can be found, like DBSA. DBSA provides hope, help, support, and education to improve the lives of people who have mood disorders. It gives to the people all the information and news about mood disorders and help them understanding and dealing with their treatments, other than suggesting doctors and clinicians. Another association that helps with this problem is ISBD, which means International Society for Bipolar Disorder. ISBD provides education and working opportunities for researchers, clinicians, and professionals who studied and treat bipolar disorder. They also offer some basic resources for people living with bipolar disorder and their caregivers. Let's say some interesting facts about this illness, for example, its origin. Aristotle of Cappadocia began the process of detailing symptoms in the medical field as early as the 1st century in Greece. His notes of the link between mania and depression went largely unnoticed for many centuries. The ancient Greeks and Romans were responsible for the terms mania and melancholia, which are now the modern-day manic and depressive. They even discovered that using lithium salts in baths calmed manic people and lifted the spirits of depressed people. Today, lithium is a common treatment for bipolar patients. Many important characters, such as Demi Lovato, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Carrie Fisher, Vincent van Gogh, and many others, suffered from bipolar disorder.